You are listening to Proof Text, a Glossa House podcast exploring Scripture and all things related to it. New episodes are released daily. For more information, check out glossahouse.com and subscribe to our channels on Spotify and YouTube. Welcome and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Proof Text. I'm Michael Halcomb, and I have the privilege of chatting with my great friend J.M. Smith. J.M., how are you, brother?
I'm well. I am well. Ready to dive into an
Excellent.
Old Testament passage.
Here we go. Yeah, man. We're going to do it. So if you're new to this is called 10 questions. Each of us get 5. We're really only allowed to ask questions, not really answers, although sometimes we kind of give, we'll sneak an answer in there every now and then. But the idea is that, we want to just foster curiosity about approaching Scripture verses, especially Scripture verses that are used in isolation or encountered in isolation, and show that even when that happens, hey, we can still bring a good Bible scholar eye, and these are the kinds of things that we'd be asking. So today we are in the Old Testament, and we're at Ecclesiastes, JM, one of your favorites.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to open the Hebrew here. Right? That's one of your favorites. You've just been teaching on that, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Love Ecclesiastes.
Yeah. Ecclesiastes 7:14. So I feel like I'm a little bit out in the wilderness here. I don't spend a lot of time in Ecclesiastes. So, I've read through it numerous times, but not as much as I'd like. So here's how the NIV translates this. When times are good, be happy. But when times are bad, consider this. God has made the one as well as the other. Therefore, no one can discover anything about their future. Okay, some really... this is just funny to me, dude. I don't know. I can't think of anything quite like this in the New Testament. At least off the top of my head, which just makes me laugh. It's just a funny verse, dude. So yeah, I guess I get the first question here. Is that right? Since we're in the Old Testament.
Old Testament, you're up.
Okay. I think the last sentence is really funny. Therefore, no one can discover anything about their future. So that's the English translation, and so I'm trying to look at the Hebrew and trying to glance at it real quick to see how close that is. But I guess just my initial question is that true? Yeah. Is it true that we can't discover anything about our future?
That's a great question to ask of literally every verse in Ecclesiastes. Is that true?
Is it true?
For genre reasons.
Yeah.
So I pulled up I just cheated here on the side. I pulled up my translation of Ecclesiastes that I did last year, just to sort of lay out the poetry of the verse. And so my question that I would want to ask when I'm trying to interpret this is how poetic should this read? Like, how poetic should this read, and is the translation bringing out? Is there a way to bring out the poetry of this translation? Is this a poetic section of Ecclesiastes, or is this I shouldn't say poetic, I should say proverbial, like a little saying? That's that. How poetic should we read ubayom or a, like, and on a bad day, look? The second part of the verse, on a good day, on a good day, be in good mood. On a bad day, look. That's literally what it's saying. So how should, are we in poetry? Are we in prose? Are we in proverb? That's the question that I think you have to first wrestle with.
Man, so the implication of the translation, God has made the one as well as the other. The implication being that God has made good times, but God has also made bad times. That's a little bit of a hard pill to swallow. God has made the bad times, the bad days. So I guess my question is, I mean, it is poetic, but did God make the days and they just so happen to be bad, or did God make the days bad on purpose?
Yeah,
that makes sense. I think.
And it's every verse in Ecclesiastes almost is a landmine of translation.
Yes.
My second question will be, given the literal, let me read this as literal for viewers that may not be able to do the Hebrew. Literally, it's, on a good day, be in good, or be in a good. And on a bad day, look, even this to correspond to this God made concerning a thing or concerning a word, so that, and that's parenthetical, humanity will not find out anything after him. Like, that's the text of Ecclesiastes in Hebrew. So what does it mean, God, even this to correspond to this God made concerning a thing? Is that a figure of speech? Like, how did the NIV get to what it got to from that? What are they implying? And does this text say anything about God creating a bad day? Or is it about, or does that phrase, even this to correspond to this God made concerning a thing, it's just such a mysterious, like, ambiguous rather than mysterious, such an ambiguous wording. Is the NIV right in how they're translating it? So that's my second question.
Yeah, that's, God made this to correspond to this. I mean, or, to parallel this. I mean, yeah, what is the this? Is it referring back to
Mm-hmm.
is it referring back to the bad day and the good day? Or it's talking about something totally different.
My third question
what is
then.
the
Oh, sorry, I thought you were done.
No, that's good. What's the reference for this?
Okay. My third question is ahrao, the after him. The second word from the end of the verse is, what is that? I guess that's translating it as their future, but it's literally his after, or the after of him. So, is it talking about the future, or is it talking about what's gonna come after humanity's gone, like after you die, after Ha'adam? after him. Like that's, you can read it about future, or you can read it about like future after you're dead and gone. So yeah, that's my third question: is how's the best way contextually to handle that achoral?
Yeah. So I think you asked a question about like genre to begin with, but I'm curious too. Where does this stuff about a good day and a bad day, does it where does it show up in the flow of Ecclesiastes itself? And like, why does its placement wherever it is, or like how does its placement wherever it is contribute to the overall discourse?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question, and I'm gonna key in right after that. Is he citing, because the author Kohelet does this throughout the book, he will cite common wisdom and then he'll refute it, or then he'll say, this is what you hear, but is this, like the previous verse he quoted, verse 13, he quoted a proverb, who is able to straighten what he has bent, and which is kind of a proverbial saying. The next verse then, is he also quoting a proverbial saying, like on a good day be in a good mood, and on a bad day, look, God's made one. Like, is this a proverb he's quoting in order to refute it, or is he quoting it like saying, like, yeah, this is what I've found as well? And is this part of that, like one of the valleys of Ecclesiastes, because it has peaks and valleys? Is this one of the valleys where things are, he's showing the starkness of how futile, how hebel, to use his words, everything is that's what's going on here?
Phew. Man, there's a lot of words in this verse. I mean, I was looking at the next verse because it begins, at least in the translation, in this meaningless life of mine. Yeah, that's hard. That's a hard pill to swallow on the hills of talking about good God making good days and happy days, or this and that. Yeah, I guess a fifth question is, would people have got the point? Like ancient people, would they have got the point? Or was this just like pleasant to listen to? Like, yeah, I don't
know. My last question then will be, is this the attitude he takes throughout the book? Does he, is this part of his quest, or is this something he's concluded as a result of his quest? In other words, are we with him on his existential wrestling, which is what the whole book is? Or can we read this, can we take this verse out of its context and say, this is an axiom that we can apply to life in general?
know.
Or does he go in another direction throughout the course of the book? That's my very leading question that a judge would surely, leading the witness. But that is, yeah, that's what I'll end it with.
Dude, Ecclesiastes is tough, man.
It really,
wow.
It might be harder than Revelation to teach.
I think Revelation's easy, but this is like, yeah. Good night.
It's definitely the most challenging book of the Old Testament I've ever translated, by far. Like, it's the hardest Hebrew, or not hardest, but it's the most ambiguous Hebrew, I think, that I've come across in the Hebrew Bible.
And it seems to, here's the thing about it. It seems to, and I think this is how the average just Bible reader approaches it, right? Ecclesiastes, like Proverbs in this wisdom literature, they seem to state what we would now call timeless truths.
Yeah.
But I don't think by and large, like, a lot of what we encounter in those writings are timeless truths. Timely, maybe. Very culturally bound, for sure. Yeah,
And they
it's
don't
really
hold, they don't hold true. Like,
yeah,
you have whole books
right.
like Job written because they don't hold true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wisdom is a fascinating genre in the Bible, for sure.
Yeah, it feels like just sitting in a coffee shop with your philosophy professor, arguing about what most people would consider irrelevant and pointless. Kind of got that feel to it. Yeah,
Oh, but if you
man,
persevere.
you got a whole teaching on this on your Disciple Dojo?
No, we
Or
haven't
no?
recorded it. I've taught it to 2 different groups, but I've not. The next step will, when I find the time, among the other plates I'm spinning, will be to do a series where we walk through it. I want to spend maybe another year or so with it under my belt and like marinate before putting it out there, teaching it. But who knows? Maybe sooner. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. It makes me want to get in there and study.
I didn't want to study it, and I didn't have any desire to. And then I was like, that's the reason I need to study it. And so then I did, and it was worthwhile. It really did change a significant amount of the way I view everything: spirituality, God, life, all of it. Yeah. It became the most I'll say it this way: it became the most relevant book in the Old Testament to me after I studied it. So I encourage viewers to dive deep and sit with it.
Wow, excellent. Well, man, if you folks are watching or listening, hopefully one day we'll be able to announce that JM's got an Ecclesiastes course out. But for now, head over to discipledojo.org and check out the other free stuff. Good Bible studies there. All kinds of resources, and check out the YouTube channel. Check out glowshouse.com as well, and our YouTube channel, which we're calling Glowsa House TV, and we're calling our audio form of it still proof text. But yeah, so and we got some great things coming down the pipeline, and I'm sure JM does too. He always does. So subscribe to those and keep up with us, and we'll stop there, friends, and say we hope that helps.
Interested in growing your ancient language skills but not sure where to start? Glowsa House can help. From illustrated readers and short stories to lexicons and grammars, Glowsa House offers a variety of resources for beginning, intermediate, and experienced ancient language learners. Head to glowsahouse.com today. Glowsa House, language resources for the global community.